Hello guys, I hope you're all having a good day, and maybe you're enjoying the patch for Battlefield 5. However, I think it's not that good, and I'm going to explain everything wrong with Battlefield 5 air gameplay as of right now. This is completely read off my Reddit post, and if you want to see a difference in air gameplay and actually do something to help, you can definitely go ahead and upvote that, as that's pretty much how Reddit works. More upvotes equals wins. So let's just get right into this. So for those who are new, my name is Silk, and I've been playing since BF3, and I've been flying since late BF4. I've always enjoyed the air gameplay in Battlefield games, and I put a fair bit of time into it. In Battlefield 4, I had around 50,000 kills in the jets, and while I skipped BF1, I've already acquired 18,000 kills in the BF5 fighter planes. This part's kinda cringe, but I guess it shows I got a bit of experience, and I'm not just talking out my ass here. So let's get into why BF5 air gameplay sucks. Dogfighting is the worst it's ever been. Ever since BF4, DICE has slowly been peeling back the skill ceiling for dogfighting. The two biggest factors here are max FOV, basically affects how often the planes are in blind spots in a dogfight, and the higher the FOV, the more you can see the enemy plane. Turning speed is also another big factor. The faster turning speed reduces the time a chasing enemy plane has to react to a switch, which is a change in direction. You also enter enemy blind spots faster and more often, and there's getting less time between every head-on. With a slow turning speed, you can pretty much see whatever the enemy are doing, and you can react to anything pretty easily. PewDiePie has a really good video explaining these factors, so go check it out and throw him a sub. He's a really good YouTuber, and he knows a lot about planes as well. Some smaller things include radar. BF5 has a radar on certain planes, and BF3 and 4 planes had radar, but they also had ECM jammer, which hides you from radar. Without this, a good pilot can pretty much use the radar and know exactly where the plane is at all times without the ECM jammer. Time to kill and disabling is also ridiculously broken. In BF3 and 4, planes had a very fast air-to-air time to kill, but the guns were incredibly accurate. In BF5, our new planes have an almost as fast time to kill, but the guns have a lot more spread and the hitboxes feel very forgiving and pretty large. This makes aiming really easy to learn, but it gives diminishing returns as you get better. In BF3 and 4, the planes had a certain amount of health where the plane would be disabled, and you'd have to pretty much force an emergency landing if you can do that, or you just die. Around 34 to 10 HP. In BF5, we have a random wing, engine, and tail damage. If you randomly take any of this type of damage, you're pretty much going to be at a very large risk of losing a dogfight, and if it's an even dogfight against a similarly skilled player, you should lose it. The flight model is also beyond inconsistent, and I really just don't want to even get into it. The physics and the kind of energy mechanics we have are ridiculously bad, and it's just a joke right now. The point here is that in the state of BF5, you need very little awareness in a dogfight. Outplaying people on defense is very difficult, and playing on offense isn't even enjoyable. Against a skilled 1v1 pilot, no defense will work at all. In public, your best bet is just boring break tactics and hope they work. Asymmetrical balancing is another big problem, I guess. Everything about the vehicle balance in this game is asymmetrical. However, in relation to planes, there's a few key things. Firstly, the British team has no viable bombers or light bombers. This results in the entire team often flying Spitfires. The German team also has the best bombers and dive bombers. They're easier to use in the fighters and more appealing for the average player. Often Germans are mostly bombers. Fighters kill bombers, so if you're playing on the Germans, you'll often be completely destroyed before the match even starts, as your team just chose the wrong planes. As a side note, I don't think bombers have a place in the game. It ends up being a case of whoever has the most bombers loses. I think they can be left in the game if we had specific roles that need to be filled. Examples are Twisted Steel, one fighter, one Stuka Mosquito or fighter, and another bomber. A lot of people seem to say that the VA is overpowered, and I think it's not the truth at all. I think it's more the effect of being ganged by VAs when your whole team is bombers. The G2, while hard to use, can definitely compete, and it's better in a few different ways. To take this furthest, the British AA ends up being chosen a lot more than the German AA. It's one of the best anti-infantry vehicles in the game, if not the best, so people tend to run it even if there aren't planes up, cough, aerodrome. The Germans don't even have a fighter that can 1v1 an AA, so bombers might be used more here. The British have a fighter that can 1v1 AA, and they have ship bombers as well, so they won't have to use bombers at all really. My solution, while not realistic, is probably the only way to overcome asymmetrical balancing, if they decide to go this route. I'm taking my solution from BF3, so I'll give some context. In Battlefield 3, the starting weapons were the M16 and the AK-74. As a lot of you would know, the M16 was the best gun in the game, but it was only available to the Americans as you start off with the assault class. Instead of fucking around with asymmetrical balancing, DICE just gave it to both teams once you hit max level, along with the AK-74. I suggest the same thing is done with all vehicles. Once you max out a fighter of some class, you should be able to use the other team's loadout as well. It'd completely remove the bomber issue, and it would fix a lot of the fighter problems and allow Germans to combat the AA with a fighter. Now, speaking about AAs, they are an absolutely essential feature if the map has planes. Again, cough, aerodrome. However, currently DICE seems to have no idea how to balance them. At the start of the game, I'd say AA were fairly balanced as a pretty experienced fighter pilot. A lot of people disagree with me, saying it was overpowered, but I'd argue its power was fine, but it was a bit easy to use. We then saw the planes all get nerfed through to the ground. This basically resulted in the AA dominating everything on the British team except the VB, which kind of sucked with a 30-second rearm timer anyway. And AA could always out-repair you, it still can always out-repair you. Not many people seem to know this, I don't know why. Now as for the Germans, we've always been able to kill the stationary AAs pretty well on the German team, but no one can kill an AA tank as a solo fighter. Even with 2 fighters, it's still very, very hard to do if they know how to repair it. I mean, if they know how to repair it, they cannot be killed anyway if they sit in their spawn. That's the straight up thing with AA tanks right now. If they sit in their spawn and they get out to repair it with the repair torch, they are completely unkillable no matter how many fighter planes you have. Unless you have 2 VBs and they all strafe at the same time, the AA dodges, or the AA doesn't dodge, sorry, takes all the rockets, then you die as an AA. But otherwise, you gotta be pretty dumb to take all those rockets, and it's not very hard to counter at all. We then went through this phase where the AA literally did 0 damage to planes, and the planes still didn't do much damage to the AAs. Now the AA basically insta-kills fighters though, and struggles to down a bomber if they have auto repair and take cover. If you look at this clip, this is just the first little AA clip I could get. You honestly just rinse fighters so fast, like you just rickroll anything in the sky, it's pretty stupid. Again, this would be fixed by either buffing the German rockets to around 50 damage if both of them hit perfectly. These would be dodged if the AA is aware, but again, 50 damage will allow you to have 2 fighters come in and strafe at the same time, and if the AA isn't aware and not paying attention, he'll die. The other option is just doing the asymmetrical balance fix, and then you can equip VB rockets on German planes, and everyone can kill AAs then. I also think the AA should be a bit harder to aim. The general rule is that if you suck with it, you shouldn't be effective. Now, for some miscellaneous stuff, I'm going to bring up a few things that I hear from a lot of people, like the really common things on my YouTube comments. Now, I get a lot of plane feedback from my YouTube channel, which is pretty decent representation of the average pilot. So spotting is generally pretty hard for a lot of people, and strafing is even harder. I get that a lot. Now, my opinions on this is that I think it's pretty valid. I've never seen anyone in a fighter outside of a couple of my own friends get more than 50 kills in a round. I've never seen it happen. Even before the nerf, I never ever saw it happen once. Speed control is needed, or else you can't win against inferior pilots. I'd say this isn't really true, but it definitely helps. More skill ceilings, more things you can leverage, you win more fights. That's basically how it works. However, if the game lowered FOV and increased turning speed, dogfights would be in a better place for sure. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and if you managed to get through it, leave some criticism in the comments, and again, like the video if you like it, and definitely go and upvote that Reddit post. That's just definitely how Reddit works in the end. Like, you need more upvotes to get recognized. So unfortunately, I've got to have to ask for some upvotes here, but if you guys can help me out, I'd really, really appreciate it. Anyways, peace guys, take it easy.